Hey guys, this is Brett for TopoRanger. Today I am in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, which is in Cumberland County. And what we're looking at right here, this big creek here, there's a dam right down there. This part here is dammed up for the water, I think it's for the water supply for Carlisle. This is called the Conodoguinet Creek, or the Conodoguinet Creek. This creek drains about 500 square miles of land in the Cumberland Valley, basically heading west. It's about 100 miles long, this creek, and the name it's kind of hard to say. Conodoguinet, or Conodoguinet, actually means very long with many bends, and this is a very bendy creek, especially when it gets down close to the river. It's got all kinds of crazy meanders. Judging by the water levels on this tree here, I'd say the creek's probably going down, though. This is the highest I've ever seen it at this location. Usually it's probably 3-4 feet lower, and historically, before they put in this dam here in 1860 or 1850, it was even lower than that. It was probably 10 feet lower than this. I'm looking at cliffs, limestone. This is it's either Chambersburg or the St. Paul's. It's Ordovician age, which means it's about 400 and it was laid down about 460 million years ago. Now, I didn't come here today to look at this creek. It's really cold today. It's not much above 30. We've got some flurries going on. I came here today to take you guys inside this, which is Conodoguinet Cave. It's a very well-known cave in this area. This is actually a nature preserve we're standing on right here. Behind me, cave opens up in those cliffs of this Ordovician limestone here. This cave has been known of, obviously, for a long, long time. Native Americans knew about it. Paleontologists have come here in the 1800s. And today I'm going to take you back in there. Now, one of the things that I was concerned about today before I got down here was whether or not this creek was going to be backed up into the cave, and it isn't, but it's almost there. I mean, you can see the level here and the level there. There's actually a little stream flowing out of it. All right, now looks like somebody has been busy here putting in sticks here. I don't know what they're trying to do. Maybe they're going to live in here for the winter. I hope not. But as you can see, this first 100 feet or so of this cave has a lot of water in here, and even today, when the water level of the creek is essentially the same as this entrance passage, I anticipate that the water is going to be even deeper than normal. I've been here once before. I only went a little bit in because I didn't have the right footwear. Cave it's not that big of a cave, but it's really interesting. There's some good fossils in here, some interesting passages. You go back under this hillside here, and this whole area for acres around here is part of the nature preserve. I'm hoping that it's not so deep that it goes over the top of my wellies or my muck boots here. You got to have these to go in this cave pretty much any time of the year, because even in the summer, when the creek is low, or in the fall when the creek is low, there's usually, at the very least, there's thick mud here that you're going to get stuck in. If you wear shoes in here, you're done. It's over. Your shoes are gone in the mud. You'll never get them back. Cave actually trends back under this hill towards the turnpike, which is just right above us. So anyway, that's about it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to figure out my lighting situation. I got my helmet, I got my backpack with my water and stuff like that, and my lights. This will be the second video that I do when I go underground. Today's a good day to go underground because it's so cold outside. Hopefully once I get back there a little bit, it's going to be, the temperature will get up to around 50, which is what it is underground all year round in this part of the world. The only safety precaution note that I'd like to make here is that when you go underground, you go in a cave, always, always, always wear a helmet. Okay, there's lots of other precautions to take, but one of the most important is to wear a helmet. Because you can hit your head and kill yourself. Oh! All right. So far, so good. I don't think this water shouldn't extend too far or too deep. Oh! There's the top of my boot. It's right there. So I'm about, I gotta, oh fuck. Yeah. Yep, that's it. Look at that. Woo! That was exactly what I was afraid of. You get stuck in the mud and you can't move. So now I got water in my boots. That's okay. See that? See the mud? The right side of me got it worse than the left side. Some big formations right here, not far from the entrance. Right here you can see the bedding. It's going this way. Now the rock is dipping pretty steeply, like this location. Oh man, I tell you, this mud is like, you get stuck in this mud, and whoa, it's hard to keep your balance. Oh, look at that. Hey, that's pretty nice. It's a little dome here. So most of these formations are relatively intact. This one right here is broken off. Right here. That probably hung down to, a couple feet originally. Oh, it's sloppy. Sloppy jalopy, okay. I can still see the entrance. You can see all the footprints of the people that were here going up and down this passage. Ever since they built the dam that ponds up the water there at the entrance, when you get flooding events, the water backs up in here, and every time it does, since it's not moving very fast, all the silt and sediment falls out, settles down. So it settles on the floor, then the waters recede. So over time, and it's been well over 100 years since they built that dam, over time this passage is filling up with sediment. I wouldn't be surprised if originally this floor was a couple feet lower than it is right now. Alright, so let's head on down here. My legs are warming up a little bit. And the ceiling comes down low. Some more flowstone right there. And there's a lot of debris too. A lot of sticks, twigs, stuff like that. That was just a little low spot right there. For such a well-traveled cave, meaning there's a lot of traffic coming into this cave every year, these formations are in surprisingly relatively good condition. There's a lot of graffiti at the front there, but so far it doesn't extend. I don't see any back here. Now here's where these two side passages branch off. This one and this one. These are where the fossils are up in here. These kind of parallel each other. This one I think goes back about 60 feet, kind of climbs up and over the main passage. And this one kind of parallels the other one, but I'm not quite sure how far that one goes. We'll come back to those, check those out. Here's a dome, goes up about 15 feet. More formations. And here you have some chert. See, this is the bare exposed. It's either Chambersburg or St. Paul. And then here we have a nice interbedded layers of chert. Wow, it's finally dry. There was an outlaw kind of person associated with this cave. I forget what his name was. Lewis something. And supposedly he hid out in here after I guess he robbed a bank or something. All right, so this is where the, so I came from there, and this is how the main passage terminates. And this is supposedly where that guy hung out when he was trying to evade the law. Although, to be honest, this seems kind of like an obvious place to come. Why wouldn't the police come here and look? This would be the first place I would look if, back in the early 1800s, a bank robber in this area got away. And you can see there's a pool of water here. As far as I know, on the map, this doesn't lead anywhere. But it's interesting that there's water in here. All right, let's go check these passages out. Maybe we can find fossils. I think there's a gastropod and one. There's actually two fossils back in this passage. Now look at it. We got some crickets up here. This right here, the way this curves, and the way you have these layers in here, a calcite depositing on a floor. This looks to me, don't quote me on this, but this used to be the floor level here. Because the water dripped down here, hit the floor, went off to the sides. And this was the old floor. And then subsequently, all this stuff was washed out. All right, we're still up here in the side passage. I just wanted to say a little bit about the formation. The main passage that we just came from, it's what's known as a phreatic passage. It's tubular. You may have noticed that it has that kind of the tube shape. The tube shape is indicative of passage forming under water. Now, sometimes when you get a big phreatic trunk passage, like the main passages of this cave is, if the main passage is blocked for some reason, whether it's collapse or plugged up with sediment, oftentimes the water will find alternate ways around the plug, and side passages will form. And I'm wondering if maybe these two side passages are an example of that. It's a little passage gets a little low there. Alright, so we're coming from this direction. And we're looking up into this little slot here. Okay, so here's the end of this passage. It basically turns into a small fissure, as you can see there. And it ends, well, goes about another 5 feet, and then it just ends in a clay fill. I'm not detecting any real airflow back here, so it probably does plug completely. So that's the right-hand passage. Let's go check out the left-hand passage. Alright, just came from there. That leads to the end, just around the corner, about 50 feet. Here's the main passage, heading back to the entrance. So I'm going to see what we can find down here. This piece of breakdown, not much breakdown in this cave, I have to say. You look at the shape of the ceiling here. Oh, it's kind of a tube, tubular. Okay, that's phreatic. Means formed. Mostly, the passage is filled completely with water. Another thing that happens sometimes when a cave is filled with water is if a passage is completely choked with sediment and there's little spaces on the ceiling, water will get injected into those spaces under pressure and form what is known as anastomosis or anastomosis, which are basically networks of little phreatic tubes on top of the floor of the cave. That might be what's happening here, because you can see these two little tubes there. And the fact that the ceiling of this passage has that curve, again, it could be this passage formed as a reroute or a redirect or a bypass around the main passage being blocked. And there's one of the fossils right there. You can get a good shot of that. Now that's a reef fossil, I think. I forget exactly what that is. That's not the gastropod. It's basically a piece of an ancient reef from the Ordovician period, 460, 470-ish million years ago, when this rock was actually a reef, or pieces of reefs, or a chunk of reef got knocked off in a storm and settled down into the area where the limestone was forming. It kind of got fossilized like that. I think the other fossil in here is a gastropod. And here you have these cool rimstone dams. And you can kind of see the layers right there. But there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. According to the map, that passage goes back maybe another 20, 30 feet at the most, but I'm going to leave that for another trip. This is a really good cave to take beginners to, because it's super easy and it's almost impossible to get lost, because there's really only one passage with two small side passages. This thing here, I don't even know if that's actually right down. Looks like this is an old ceiling pendant that might have fallen off. And this piece here probably might have fallen off from that little spot there. It got undercut so much that it just got too heavy and clunked down. All right, so we're gonna head back. Let's see if we can get out of the cave without falling into the mud pit there again. A long time ago, when the base level for the area was higher, for instance, if that creek out there was, say, 20 feet higher than it is today, before it worked its way down, this cave could have been the end of a master, what they call like a trunk, which is a main drain, basically a main drain for this area of the Cumberland Valley. This passage would have been underwater. The water coming through this cave would have been most likely flowing this way towards the entrance, and it would have come up either next to the creek or maybe in the creek bed as a paleo spring, which is basically just an old spring that is no longer there because the level of the land has slowly been denuded. The question is, can I? All right, I'm going to put this flashlight away because I need to hold on to the wall, because I'm not going down again. I'm not doing it. All right, well, other than falling into the muddy, cold, freezing waters in the cave, everything went pretty well. I hope you guys enjoyed this trip to Conodoguinet Cave in Cumberland Valley, in Cumberland County, just to the north of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And that's basically it for today. So this is Brett for TopoRanger, signing out.